Hey guys, I have a crazy Uber's Wi-Fi battle for you featuring the brand new gift, Shiny Koraidon. This Groudon rudely cracked the earth as it came in, as it is Koraidon's time to shine. Luckily, Koraidon and Miraidon have a really high speed 405 plus with a boosted nature, so it allows me to easily bluff my Choice Scarf for a good majority of the battle. I don't want him to know that it's Choice Scarf, especially not right off the bat. Koraidon has so many good attacks: Collision Course, U-Turn, Outrage for just that game finisher, and of course Flare Blitz, boosted by its Orichalcum Pulse, which sets up the harsh sunlight. Groudon, the best answer I have is physically defensive Great Tusk that could come in and get a Photosynthesis physical defense boost as it switches in. By the way, we're going to be doing Scarlet and Violet, or quote-unquote focusing on Scarlet and Violet content for 2 more weeks. And then we're going to be jumping into the future with Legends ZA. I cannot wait, and I have a huge surprise to show you guys the day of that I'm working on. And it might shock you a little bit. But let's get back to the battle. So Great Tusk got that defense boost. I know I can possibly go for a Rapid Spin here, and I think he probably sees that going for a Calyrex. I do have the knockoff as well that I'd be able to go for, and I'm sure it'd do a ton of damage. But he predicts that correctly, me going for a Rapid Spin, not really wanting these Stealth Rocks on my side of the field to do residual damage to my Pokemon. Now, Calyrex Shadow, I do have Ting-Lu, and I also have Assault Vest Arcaladon. So I'm not exactly sure what type or what form of Shadow Rider I'm dealing with here. Am I dealing with Nasty Plot? Am I dealing with Substitute? And then, of course, what coverage moves are we dealing with? If it has something like Draining Kiss, then that is going to be a little bit more dangerous for Ting-Lu, and a better matchup for something like Assault Vest Arcaladon. My Sirens and Alarms immediately goes off, as this Calyrex sets up a Nasty Plot right in my face. Oddly enough, I'm actually going to go for Spikes. I want to see, number one, what it goes for, because if it has Dazzling Gleam, I have to swap out anyway. The fact that he shows me Substitute here tells me he may not have the most offensive attack to hit me with. I stated with Spikes not only to get Spikes up and to go for Whirlwind, being able to survive any +2 attack and Whirlwind this thing out, but it also would tell me what type of coverage this thing has. Draining Kiss, Energy Ball, what have you. Here comes a +2 Astral Barrage, and with the not very effective hit, it does about 103 damage, all things considered. So that is really nice. Good bit of information there, and we can just Whirlwind out Ting-Lu right off the bat. Are you guys excited for Legends ZA? I know I am, and I can't wait to bring it to you. So he shows up with an Arceus Dark, and I was like, okay, I don't know what coverage this thing has to hit Ting-Lu, but while Ting-Lu is mostly specially defensive with its Vessel's ability, it's still pretty tanky to be able to take hits. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Fluttermane can take Extreme Speed, it can take all these other things. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that my Photosynthesis boost with this Fluttermane is actually Speed. However, I don't actually have the Sun up right now, so this is kind of a really dangerous play. This thing could very much set up a Swords Dance in my face and then Judgment me to Oblivion. He goes for Will-O-Wisp, though. So that would mean that it's most likely a bulky Arceus. Seeing Will-O-Wisp, I highly doubt that it's going to be a physical attacker or like built to set up in any kind of way. This thing is probably just around to annoy me. I decided to go for Taunt. Luckily, Fluttermane is actually faster than Arceus. As you guys know, I don't know my speed tiers too well, but Fluttermane is insanely fast, almost ghastly levels of fast. Here comes that Judgment I was talking about. Because I do have that Fairy typing, I am able to take it. Even with the burn, we do get brought right to about 67 health. And I'm thinking, okay, he's probably going to want to swap out. I could go for Moonblast. I'm hoping I can kill the Arceus from here. Arceus Dark, it is Arceus Dark. It does take a lot of damage, but not enough. And this is going to allow Fluttermane to be taken down by Stab Judgment from Arceus Dark. So let's see if we have this recap about right, okay? We have Stealth Rocks on our side of the field, which we've not gotten rid of. I have Arceus Fairy that I could also bring in at any point. I could also bring in Koraidon and just safely U-turn. Again, I want to just keep the ideal of having the 405 speed and being able to outspeed most of his Pokemon without showing that I have that Choice Scarf. I will say, though, going for these U-turns kind of does hint at it being Choice Scarf Koraidon, but hopefully my opponent doesn't know too much about it. But it also allows me to get a U-turn off and go ahead and knock out this Arceus or force him out and not having to get my Koraidon burned by Will-O-Wisp. Unless he misses. But that's not really a chance that I want to take. Even under the sunlight of home field advantage for Koraidon, I'm not interested in my physically offensive threat and late game win condition being burned. So, he's probably trying to think maybe what he'd like to do. Arceus would definitely go down. I'm not exactly sure what else my opponent would want to swap in here. He does swap out the Arceus. Okay, so what are we coming in here? To Necrozma. Oh, I wonder if this is Rocky Helmet Duskmane. Luckily, we do get a little bit of Spikes damage chip on the switch. U-turn comes off, and the Rocky Helmet. That's going to wear down my Koraidon. And there's Stealth Rocks on the field. So those are two things gradually wearing me down. Physically defensive Great Tusk definitely can take this thing down pretty well. He could go for like Zen Headbutt or something if he has the coverage, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure. I know these things are usually physically defensive, like Impish, and they want to recover off HP and do residual damage with like Rocky Helmet, and then easily Morning Sun off the damage and stuff like that. I go for a knockoff. Does some nice chip, get that Rocky Helmet out of the way so that it is no longer able to do residual damage to the rest of my Pokemon. In comes a Sun Steel Strike. We are physically defensive Great Tusk, and the Sunlight was up to give us that nice physically defensive boost, and we take it so fantastically. Looking at my opponent's side of the field, he really doesn't have a whole lot for Earthquake. So that being said, I think Earthquake is the perfect attack. Could also go double knockoff if I wanted to go that direction. Knocking off items and just being generally annoying is always a really cool way to deal with things. Keep in mind, we're also dealing Spikes damage to all of these switch-ins, so that's very helpful. But Necrozma, definitely physically defensive. We're going to get knocked off for a taste of our own medicine, lose our heavy-duty boots, which means we are going to be worn down. And I did not go for Rapid Spin, knowing he still has that Calyrex in the back. So, Calyrex can easily swap it at any point, and these Stealth Rocks are pretty much here to stay, at least until Calyrex exits the building stage left. So, he's going to withdraw Necrozma, which is interesting considering it no longer has Rocky Helmet, maybe using it for Death Fodder later. As he goes into Arceus Dark, which now gets hit by the Spikes, and the knockoff incoming, which of course does not do that much damage. Really good play on my opponent's part to predict me to go for double knockoff and bring in Arceus Dark, maybe trying to get a little bit of residual wear down on Great Tusk. That is exactly what my opponent goes for. Goes to that Will-O-Wisp, and that is going to steadily weaken the victim. It's burned. It's so bad. My eyes are blurred, so I read burned without the R. Burned. Anyways, Great Tusk worn down to 233. We no longer have heavy-duty boots to help us out with those residual damage. So now we've got to make a decision here. I don't particularly mind two of my Pokemon being burned, specifically Arceus Fairy. Arceus Fairy is actually a special attacker, so that's fine. Great play on my opponent, predicting me to try to stay in and do some damage here. Just going for those recovers, and as you see, after that Will-O-Wisp, my physical attack being cut to abysmally nothing, this Arceus is in business. And when I say in business, I'm really worried that this thing might actually have a setup move. But it's definitely going to be annoying Will-O-Wisping around my entire team. I needed a really good opportune moment to bring in Arceus Fairy. I was looking for that moment, and I'm hoping that I finally have it here. As a third Will-O-Wisp, let's also keep in mind my opponent has not missed a single Will-O-Wisp. But if you think the content is fire and you are enjoying it, let me know in the comment section down below, and rate, comment, subscribe, and let's get hyped and ready for Legend ZA and that shocking surprise that you're not ready for. Alright, so I myself, since I haven't seen Swords Dance from this Arceus Dark, I decide it is now time to set up a Calm Mind of my own, as the Zacian Crown is going to come in here. Luckily, it is going to get hit by spikes, and Intrepid Sword gets boosted. Now, because I am Fairy type, and I actually forgot to change my Terra type, I am Solid Fairy type. So that means, even if I could have gone for an oncoming Earth Power, I am 150% sure I am outsped and absolutely knocked completely out by Zacian Crown. So let's see what happens here. Yep, definitely outsped, and I definitely go down to an Intrepid Sword boosted Behemoth Blade. I'm not sure what I was predicting. I was hoping that I was wrong about my speed tiers, and I would be able to take this thing down. Now, Great Tusk is a good option, but our Koraidon is also a really good option. Being that we get hit with whatever attack, hopefully like a close combat, that would weaken my opponent's defenses, and then of course we could go for a Body Press or a Stabbed Flash Cannon, since it is part Fairy type when it's equipped with the Rusted Sword. So let's see what we go for here. He swaps out the Zacian. He must be scared of Body Press and must be scared of lowering his offenses. Now that is going to remove his Intrepid Sword, and Necrozma is going to come into Spikes, and because that one layer of Spikes was put up by the mighty Moose Ting Lu, that guy is gone, and we no longer have to worry about it. Great play on my opponent's part, though. If those spikes weren't up, forcing me to lose my special attack to a Draco Meteor just to knock out Necrozma Dustmane would have been a fantastic play on my opponent's part. Now, our Koraidon can survive whatever attack and go for some really good attack, whether that be the Draco Meteor or Body Press after a stamina boost. We do have Precipice Blades to deal with here, and it is not a good situation for us. Great Tusk is already worn down, and as I stated earlier, now we have to come in and take Stealth Rock damage. We're burned, and we no longer have heavy-duty boots. So now when we take this Precipice Blades, we're not going to take it that well. The only thing saving us is that our defense is heightened, but even so, we still don't take it well after the burn at all. Barely sitting at a residual amount that he can probably knock us out. After the burn, we're sitting at 70 HP, and that is a really, really close damage range to be taken out by our Precipice Blades, even with that defense boost. I was hoping right here maybe to get a Body Press, hoping that even though I'm burned, my defenses are still pretty good, boosted. But my opponent, yes, it misses the Precipice Blades. Come on, Body Press, do some serious, decent... Well, that just flattened my hopes and dreams. That amount of damage was not quite where I wanted it at. Also, do you guys like the longer long-form video content, or do you prefer the short battles? Let me know as well in the comment section. I'll try to appease both people that like longer battles like this and short battles as well. Alright, so... Man, Great Tusk is easily going to be taken out here. Maybe they get another Precipice Blades miss. I don't have a really good switch into any of this. I think I'm just trying to get some burned damage off so that Koraidon can do some very serious work later. Let's keep in mind what he kept in the back. He's still got that Arceus Dark, but because I am Choice Scarfed Koraidon, I can definitely bring this thing down. I'm trying to get this thing to range where I can knock it out with a boosted Flare Blitz or a Collision Course. This chip damage is the only thing I'm doing right now. However, the chip damage isn't really helping because the leftovers is kind of recovering everything I'm trying to do. That being said, I'm going to Ting Lu. I'm going to put my faith in physically defensive Ting Lu here. With the Vessel of Ruin lowering all those special attacks, I am hoping that Ting Lu has enough Natural Bulk that I can get off a Ruination and get this thing in range for a Collision Course for later on in the game for cleanup with Choice Scarf Koraidon. We have been locked into a hard stalemate most of this battle. In comes that Precipice Blades, and Ting Lu does not take that. Luckily, we do not miss the Ruination. You will recover some leftovers from it, but I'm pretty sure all I need to do here is go for Whirlwind and chip you down with one more Spikes hit, and then you'll be in range for a Choice Scarfed Collision Course. So, that is kind of my plan right now. I'm hoping I can take another Precipice Blades. I won't take it very well, but he does the work for me by swapping into Zacian Crown. And that works out so well, because I was just going to Whirlwind anyway, and he doesn't get Intrepid Sword back, so now I get free Spikes Chip on Zacian Crown, so that is fantastic. That is all for late game setup for Choice Scarf Koraidon. And once again, Spikes doing what Spikes does best, definitely in range of where I need it to be now. I would have to take another Precipice Blades, but I could probably just wear this thing down residually. So, guys, we are setting up for a great Choice Scarfed Koraidon sweep at the back end. And, oh my god, this just feels so nice. So what I decide to do here, knowing I can knock this thing out with Koraidon, I decide to get up one more layer of spikes. One more if I can. I know it sounds a little weird, but everything is down to the point after residual damage from entry hazard that Koraidon can take it out. So that is great. That is so great. My opponent really didn't have the most physically defensive team. The bulkiest thing seems to be the Groudon and possibly the Arceus Dart, but that's only after it burns things. In comes another Precipice Blades. Tinglu doing what Tinglu does best, living on 24 HP, going for a Whirlwind after 2 layers of spikes are on the field. 2 minutes left in the battle. We have definitely extended this battle out to as high as we can. Calyrex is going to go into the range that I need it to for Koraidon to take it out with a Flare Blitz or an Outrage. So that is great. Outrage can revenge kill 3 Pokemon right now, so that is fantastic. That would bring him down to the last Pokemon. Now, since Tinglu is not dead yet, and I believe it can live one more Stealth Rock switch in, I decide to go to Arcaladon now, trying to see what he is going to do. He just goes for a straight up Astro Barrage, this time not boosted by Nasty Plot. We don't take that as well as I would have liked. Even with Assault Vest, we do not take that well. I decided to stay in here and go for Flash Cannon, just to bring the rest of his Pokemon down to range. I also want to get this threat out of the way before he starts getting Chilling Neigh boosts. So, after 2 Stamina boosts, I'm hoping Flash Cannon is enough damage. It is enough damage to knock out the Calyrex. So, Groudon and Arceus Dark are in range of Choice Scarfed Koraidon. So, and also Zacian Crown. All 3 of those Pokemon are in range of being knocked out by Collision Course. Zacian would have to pretty much force itself to take me out. In comes a Behemoth Blade. Arcaladon is definitely not living that at 12 HP. And it is time for Choice Scarfed Koraidon. Or it would be if the battle would not be coming to an end. Let me know, guys, if you feel like Koraidon really would have shined in this battle. Until next time, take care and have a great day. And I'll see you guys sooner than you think.